technology advances and everything has to change.
Well, she does work, Catherine does work on the on her laptop. I mean, she can't go to the office with this killer after her, and so she's writing her stories on the fly, you know, and, you know, sending them in.
Sure.
So there is, she's definitely dealing with, you know, there is some acknowledgement at least of how technology is changing.
Well, there is, but the other thing is that people will still want the stories. The real issue is how are they going to be delivered? Are they going to be delivered in a traditional, you know, print newspaper, or in fact, you know, are people who were successful investigative journalists going to wind up publishing all their stories in the blogosphere or on whatever, and who knows how that's working out.
Who knows?
But I do think she's a fascinating character, and I like the fact that Vicky, our Vicky, the Arapaho lawyer, doesn't have a big role, but she does show up in here, and a number of reviewers. She's had wonderful reviews. She had a wonderful starred review from Publishers Weekly, which is always grand. Kind of said, wow, maybe here's a new partnership for Vicky.
Yes.
Maybe when Father John is either finally leaves the reservoir or can't come back from Rome or whatever it might be. And I do think it gives you some flexibility if these two women maybe, you know.
Could get together. Yeah.
Well, I mean, not necessarily as a full-time, but it would give you an opportunity to do some other things that with only Father John and Vicky you can't really do. It gives you a new player.
Well, it does, and that kind of caught me off guard with several of the early reviews. Just started saying, well, they said, first of all, they said, well, this is the first in a new series. Well, that totally caught me off guard because I was just thinking it was one standalone novel, which I wanted to write just to kind of challenge myself, you know, and try new characters and come at things from a little different perspective. So that caught me off guard. And then the reviews, not just Publishers Weekly, but I think one other at least have said, well, maybe these two women can, you know, work together, or we'll see them in another novel. And so I thought, whoa, there are all kinds of possibilities here that I hadn't thought about. I did think when I was about halfway through this novel, or maybe 3/4 of the way through, I started feeling kind of sad that I was nearing the end and I was going to have to leave these people, because Catherine is, I found her a very interesting woman, and her sidekick, Nick Bustamante, who's a Denver police detective, I liked him a lot too. And so I started thinking, gee, I maybe wouldn't mind spending a little more time with them. So who knows whether they'll come back, I don't know.
You didn't have to put Vicky in the book, Margaret.
I did not have to.
So if you did, I suspect, if not your conscious, your subconscious was bubbling up.
And there she was.
We're almost out of time, but one thing I had meant to ask you way, way back when we were talking about collectible books in the Eagle Catcher, you've done a very interesting series of books for a small press, ASAP Press, which is short stories that are keyed into the, are there 10?
There are 10.
Arapaho commandments.
Right.
Beautiful books. They have gorgeous illustrations, and usually they've been introduced by another author.
Yes.
So you've got signatures, yours, the other author, and the illustrator.
The illustrators.
And there have been, 8 of them now?
No, they're 10.
Oh, they're all done?
The last one came out last year.
Oh, I lost
So we
count.
have all 10.
Okay.
Yes, and the illustrator is Phil Parks, who has done many illustrations for Dean Koontz's books. He's a nationally known illustrator. And then each short story is introduced, as you said, by another mystery author. So Tony Hillerman introduced one, and James Doss, and
C.J. Box,
C.J. Box, and J.A. Jance. Craig Johnson. Craig Johnson introduced one. So they are beautiful books. The illustrations are beautiful. They're beautifully bound. And so each short story is sold as a standalone, separate book, even though it's a small book, and also collectible because they were small print runs.
Well, you can put them together in a really nice set. And if I remember right, you actually wrote out each commandment.
I did.
In Arapaho. And so I think they've been very, they've been a wonderful sidebar to the series. But my real question was, did you enjoy the did you enjoy the short story form?
I like the short story form, and I've done a number of others too that have been published in anthologies. I like it a lot. a short story deals with one thing, and a novel deals with a lot of things. A novel can be very layered. You know, there are the conflicts within the people and the conflicts they have with one another and the plot and all kinds of things going on in a novel, which I love about a novel. But short story, you don't have that much time. It's short.
Right.
And you have one thing.
And focused. It's also really tightly focused.
Exactly. It has to be really tightly focused.
Well, it makes
So I
kind of
enjoy
a nice, you know, change for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been fun. You know, it's interesting to have known someone really from before their publishing career and been able to walk with you all this way.
That's right.
Along.
It's been a long way.
This is our 19th year in business, and this is what, your 13th year, did you say, of writing?
Yeah.
So we've been pretty much together, and I think that's, you know, that's been one of the great satisfactions of certainly my time, is being able to work with you like this.
Thank you, Barbara. It's been so nice to know you and to be able to come down here every year and talk about my books and go to Poison Pen and get to meet all the wonderful people you have come in there.
Well,
and
thank you. And the library here, which, you know, is part of this program that we're doing today, has been very
wonderful
supportive.
today, and it's a beautiful library, and they were just terrific, and the people there were just great.
It has
I
been
enjoyed
a
it.
very nice experience, I think. Well, thank you. Thank you for
Barbara.
joining us, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today as well.